Hey guys, welcome back, and it has been some time since we have looked at what is going on in the OCG. It's actually super interesting, and obviously OCG always look into the future ball where we can see what we will get in Master Duel in the future, which matter especially because we are more close to the OCG than we are to the TCG, and we have the OCG 2025 Metagame Report number 2 and also number 1, which we can start with the number 1, and there you can see we have, it's super interesting, we have Orcust being the most played deck here in the number 1 breakdown. Then we have Maliss, then we have Blue Eyes and Raziel here at 7.6. Raziel, obviously the hits to the X-Raziel going to 1, and then also the 7 Tachyon, the search card going to I think 2 if I remember this correctly, but this was enough seemingly to really drop down Raziel. I think it's important to note that in the TCG we still have the Fiendsmith engine fully intact, which we will probably, fingers crossed, get in Master Duel come February. So you can definitely put the Raziel Fiendsmith stuff together, and this is very strong. In the OCG, the Fiendsmith engine is already pretty hard hit. We can see in the Orcust deck, which I think there are a lot of people that are super hyped. I have a friend which is a big Blue Eyes fan and also a big Orcust fan. I guess I've forgotten to mention this because the Orcust thing is so crazy, but there's obviously also Blue Eyes here at 15.7%, which is insane if you ask me. But we have Orcust back, we have Blue Eyes back, a lot of fan favorite decks with new support getting back to be playable, to be basically the best deck in the game, which is super crazy. And there you can see the Orcust list that we are playing right now. There were some Orcust lists, I think, that were also playing the Fiendsmith engine, even though Fiendsmith is at 1 in the OCG, which is crazy. But we have the new Orcust cards here, the Orcust Automaton Galatea, which basically says it's a link 1, always very strong, 1 Orcust or 1 World Legacy monster. You can only link summon this once, and then you can send 1 card from your hand to the graveyard and add 1 World Legacy monster or Orcust Bubble from your deck to your hand. This can search the field spell, very strong. Then also, if this card is in your graveyard, you can banish 1 other Orcust card from your graveyard, special summon this card so we can get this back as an extender. So an extremely strong link 1 for the deck. Pretty crazy if you ask me. We have the negation trap here at 2. Other than that, nothing too special. Basically the Orcust normal engine, you could say. You can see we have room for a lot of non-engine. We have triple Nib, we have 2 Fuvalos, triple Ash Blossom, this and this and this. So we have a lot of space in here. Very interesting. The Maxi at 2. Hopefully we will get this also in Master Duel. Let me know if you would like this or if you wouldn't. Do you want the Maxi at 2 or do you want the Maxi still at 3? Then we also have the other new support card, the Endlinger, so the Orcust Magnet. The monsters including an Orcust Link monster, Link 4. You can target one of your vanished Orcust or World Legacy cards, add it to your hand, then you can shuffle 1 card from your hand into the deck and take control of 1 face-up monster your opponent controls. Very nice. And during your main phase, if this card is in your graveyard because it was sent there from the extra monster zone this turn, you can banish it, send 1 card on the field to the graveyard. Very strong, but also needs a lot of material. Not quite sure whether you make this often, but I guess we have to see when we get this in the future. But Orcust, the best deck in the game right now. You can also see the very long combo lines here. I think they are basically telling us what we could end up on if we are starting, for example, with the Gersu, the Orcust Magnite, which is a 1-card combo. Then we can take a look at what we are ending up on. We are ending on 7 disruptions, which is actually strong, and a Palooza above the Goddess with 3 monster effect negates. Then the Endling Gersu, which can take control. We just read the card World Legacy World Crown and gets the activation of 1 monster effect. We have Gersu, the Orcust of the Evening Stars, that can send 1 card to the graveyard. I think this is in the grave then, not quite sure. Yeah, it is, because we can use Orcust Kimber Skeleton to summon the Gersu, and then we also have the Crescendo's Omni Negate, the activation of 1 spell trap or monster, and banishes that card. So really solid here, and with 1 card, this is obviously super strong. Dingersu, very amazing, very exciting. We will get this in the future also. And then we obviously have Maliss still at here's, by the way, the Fiendsmith variant, but you can see Fiendsmith and Grave as a 1, Tractus at 1, so a small Fiendsmith engine, but we are still playing it. This will be so interesting. This will definitely change our Master Duel in quite a significant way when we get it. We have Maliss. Maliss had received some nerfs in form of Goldsark and the Allure of Darkness going to 1, but this is actually not that impactful, since you can also play just some other cards. You can play the Bestials to banish your Maliss monsters. Shifter is still here. You can just go ahead and, for example, play Silent Mining if all of these cards would go. Allure of Darkness obviously is very strong, since you can play Allure and then banish your Maliss monsters for the cost of Allure, basically. and then they will be summoned back. This is not for cost, by the way, this is not what I meant, but you can pay the cost with your Maliss monsters, and then they get summoned back. And you can also see this in the side deck here. In Master Duel, this will be a bit more challenging. Every deck is basically playing triple Lancia, like we're also seeing this in the TCG. Maybe in the future they will also play the new Fuvalos, or maybe Chaos Hunter, so a lot of Maliss hate in here, definitely. Also, one card that is coming up again is the Phantasme, obviously drawing 3 against Maliss. It is quite nice, which is why we are doing it here. And then we have Blue Eyes. Blue Eyes now basically out in the TCG. In a few weeks we have the Primite cards in the new set Supreme Darkness, and then early February will be the Blue Eyes structure deck. I'm super interested in seeing when we will get this. Could be something for February, potentially. We will have to see. I think the most interesting part about this Blue Eyes deck is that it is more of a control deck, and this tells you something about the game, that the game is more control-ish, and games don't end in the first turn, not unlike in the Snake Eyes format, where basically they built their entire board and you could not break it. But yeah, this will be a slower format when we get this format in Master Duel, probably in half a year or something, depending on how they want to structure their release cycle. Maybe this is even further down the line. We will have to see. Firstly, we will get the Fiendsmith stuff, then we will next probably get the Ryziel and Maliss stuff, and then comes the Blue Eyes and Orcust stuff, I would assume. And then we have the second metagame report that we can also take a look at, and now it's finally happening. Blue Eyes is the top meta threat in the OCG. It's so crazy. We have Maliss here at the second place, just barely not as popular as Blue Eyes. Then we have Orcust here, fallen a bit down, not quite sure why. Then we have Ryziel still. Gem Knight, by the way, Gem Knight we also had in this report here, 6.5%, so a lot of old decks with new supports. And then there's this sleeper pick Memento here at the 5th spot in both of these reports. Memento I also called one of the best decks to invest in Master Duel for this year. If you have not seen that video, the best decks to invest your resources in Master Duel in 2025, then go ahead and check this out. It is in the top right corner. I have linked it there for you. We have the Blue Eyes, and they are talking about how everyone is putting Bestials in to banish the Maiden of White. And the side deck, they are playing triple Chaos Hunter, triple Lancia, triple Phantasm in the side deck. This is so Maliss hate. Maliss can't do a thing. Obviously, in Master Duel, this will not be a problem since we don't have a side deck. So Master Duel always a bit of a different format. But I think this is so exciting that we have this old Blue Eyes deck, especially with 2 Blue Eyes White Dragon bricks. And this is the best deck in the game right now in the OCG. Obviously, it's pretty close and might change the week after Maliss overtaking this or something. But it's so cool. Then we have Maliss. Nothing really changed. They're also playing a lot of Bestials, triple Saronir, since we have every other one at 1 here. But yeah, the Bestials are definitely great in this Maliss, Ryziel, Fiendsmith format. Bestials will be a big thing in Master Duel also that you can be sure of. We also have it quite limited, I think. Druistorm is back at 3, if I remember this correctly, but we have the Magnum still at 1, which obviously is the best one. And then we have, once again, an Orcust list here, this time around with the Fiendsmith package. Again, there's also a Diabellstar, and we are playing the Azamina engine, which is also something we get in the future. If you're not aware of what this is doing, your Diabellstar can basically search this Deception of Sinful Spoils, which you can then use to grab this Azamina Hollowed, I think it's called, and then you can use it to either get to your Mu Richelago, which can get you to your wanted if you don't have it already. In my example, we started with the Witch, so you wouldn't go for Mu Richelago, but you would go for Il Silvia, which is an Omni Negate. And then obviously we have the Fiendsmith stuff in here and the new Orcust cards. Yeah, pretty interesting time to play Yu-Gi-Oh! Honestly, I think that the 2025 meta in general will be very interesting and not as annoying as 2024. At least this is how it is looking like right now. Obviously, we need to still see what is coming out in the future. But if you look at this chart, at this pie chart, I think this is very amazing. And this is actually a very balanced format, not unlike the Ryziel format before, where Ryziel had 40% of the entire meta. This is way more healthy, 20, 20, and then you have 15, and then 5%. This is totally fine. A few very good decks, and then other decks you can play. Yeah, I really like this. Also, old decks still around, Labyrinth, Temper Dragon, Crystron also with new support here, and the Atlantean stuff that we will have to get in Master Duel in the future quite soon, I would assume. So I'm really hyped for this, really happy if we get get this in the future. But firstly, we will have to move through the Fiendsmith, Snake Eyes, Fiendsmith, Snake Eyes, Fiendsmith Bell part of the meta, obviously. It is what it is, but let me know in the comments what you think of the OCG trends. Are you hyped for this in the future? Are you hyped for the Blue Eyes, for the Orcust, for the Maliss maybe? Let me know in the comments. If you like my videos, please consider subscribing, hitting a thumbs up and the notification bell. This would help me out a lot, and you also do not miss anything. Thanks for being here, and we will see each other in the next one.